Welcome back to another episode on Down the Hole Conspiracies, where we react to strange phenomenons, to bizarre conspiracies. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up, smash the like, comment down in the section, and make sure you go ahead and follow us so you don't miss any bizarre videos. Let's get to it.
On November 12, 1966, in Clendenin, West Virginia, 5 gravediggers claimed to have seen what they describe as a man with wings gliding over their heads. Eyewitness Kenneth Duncan later said the being was gliding through the trees and was in sight for about a minute. But it was here where Mothman became a legend. I'm at the spot of what is widely believed to be the earliest officially reported Mothman sighting, what used to be the West Virginia Ordnance Works munitions plant, better known as the TNT area. On November 15, 1966, 2 young married couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette, were driving around the TNT area when they reportedly spotted what looked like a man with large wings standing in the middle of the road. Steve described the creature as being 6 or 7 feet tall with a...
What would you do in that situation? I'm hitting the gas. He's getting out of my way.
But also saw glowing red eyes when the car headlights hit the figure, who seemed to shy away from the light. Frightened, they quickly sped away from the figure, but shortly after, while traveling along Route 62, they spotted it again. This time, it followed them. They claimed they couldn't shake the creature, even when the car reached speeds as fast as 100 miles an hour. This is Denny Bellamy, the Mason County Visitors Bureau Executive Director. Denny has lived in the Point Pleasant, Mason County area for over 60 years.
I was in the 3rd grade. My neighbors saw it, said there's a 6-foot bird with big red eyes and massive wings, chasing cars in the TNT, and in fact, it kept up with Roger Scarberry's 57 Chevy. It's right on this road. This road, as you can see, is like a drag strip, and that's what Roger Scarberry was doing out here, his drag race. There were scratch marks on the ceiling of his car, and he was upset and he was scared.
Shaken by the experience, the group drove straight to the sheriff's office to file a report around 2 a.m. that morning. Officers immediately set out to investigate. By the time they arrived at the TNT site, no evidence of the creature could be found. I'm here at the Point Pleasant Public Library doing some research, looking through their archives. There's a lot of stuff here, so I'm super excited to explore. This is a copy of the original Point Pleasant Register of the first Mothman sighting, so I'm super excited to explore. This is a copy of the original Point Pleasant Register of the first Mothman sighting. Wednesday, November 16th, so it would have been the morning after. Couple sees man-sized bird, creature, something. There's drawings.
Wow.
Scarsberry eyewitness sketch of Mothman, verified by others. One of the original eyewitnesses. Both were slightly pale and tired from lack of sleep during the night following their harrowing experience. If I hadn't seen it while by myself, I wouldn't have said anything, but there were 4 of us who saw it. They speculated that the thing was living in the vacant power plant, possibly one of the huge boilers. There are pigeons in all the other buildings, but not in that one. This is new info. I love finding new info.
This was a top secret government facility. They made all the explosives for the atomic bomb. It employed all the people from the town. You would come to work here onto a bus that all the windows were blacked out of, so you couldn't see anything in the facility. They drove you right to where you were working, you did your job, you got back on the bus, and they never saw anything. And the day we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, they closed the facility. That was it. They were done. We're going to go look at the bunkers that give the TNT area its name. It's where they stored the explosives, the TNT and the nitroglycerin.
Oh, it's creepy.
This is where they stored explosives, and when we first started bringing people out here, there were still rusted cans of gunpowder.
So here's definitely some Mothman graffiti. I mean, we have the humanoid structure, we have the wings, the big, you can see two large eyes. I grew up in Forest, but there's something about the abandoned building and the legends and the real history that there's a spooky vibe. I mean, it's honestly really, really creepy. We're walking into one of the buildings that used to be part of the TNT site. So we're gonna go in, we have no idea what's inside, it's pitch black. Let's see what happens. I don't know how far back it goes. Look at these cool lights. Really small, it's really dark. And I don't know what it was used for, and there's stuff everywhere. It definitely looks like it could be haunted. Especially by the workers who used to be here, you never know. Ooh, and I just kicked something. Okay. I'm more creeped out than I've been in that building.
I haven't lost the film pretty yet, but you never know.
Over the following 3 days after the November 15th sighting, at least 8 more people reported similar creatures.
My brother said, well, don't look, but there's something there beside the car. If I'd rolled my window down, I just could have touched it. And then it jumped on the hood and just sat there and just squatted kind of looked at us. But it did have the biggest red eyes, and it run right past the car, and it jumped up in the air and just opened up the biggest pretty set of bird wings, because you could...
Man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. If I ever seen that happen, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. That's a wild experience to go through. That's super wild.
see the feathers in it and everything, just opened them up and just went off in the night like that.
For 1 year, starting in November
Wow.
1966, over 100 eyewitnesses reported accounts of the Mothman in this area. Almost all agreed on the same points. The monster was as large, or as larger than a big man. It had wings but no feathers, and took off into the air straight like a helicopter, gliding through the sky. Its face was indistinguishable besides 2 large, glowing red eyes. The town's population was so intrigued by the creature that hundreds of local residents, some armed, went hunting for the winged figure.
There was police officers directing traffic. There was so much traffic out here. Well, the sheriff's deputies had to come.
Newspapers are often the first indicators of an emerging legend. They help rumors become lore, as more variations are published and told to the public. Mothman was no exception. He even received his famous title from an anonymous Ohio newspaper copy editor, who likely gave the mysterious bird the name Mothman after the famous comic book character Batman, who was the subject of a popular TV show at the time. Later that month, the Beckley Herald-Dispatch renamed the Mothman as the Mason Bird Monster, but that didn't quite stick. Were the Mothman eyewitnesses in the 1960s really seeing a monster? Some people certainly saw something in the night sky. The sheer number of sightings might be an example of the psychological and social phenomenon known as mass hysteria. The textbook definition of mass hysteria says it is a form of mass contagion in which an irrational belief or behavior grips a group or community. The size of a small town like Point Pleasant offered a unique social environment. Residents either had a Mothman story themselves or knew someone who did, which allowed the story to circulate in a relatively closed inner network that could bolster the belief in the creature. What is undoubtedly very real is the event that stopped the Mothman sightings of the 1960s. On December 15, 1967, exactly 13 months after the first reported sighting of Mothman, an estimated 31 cars and trucks plunged into the Ohio River after the bridge connecting Ohio and West Virginia collapsed. 64 people went into the water. 46 of them died. Survivors and witnesses recall that the bridge shook violently before it collapsed. Some even say they saw Mothman on the bridge days before. This is really where the myth of the Mothman as a harbinger of death started. Was he a warning to the townspeople, or a cursed being bringing destruction with him? Some people speculated that Mothman and the bridge collapse had something to do with a rumored legend known as the Curse of Cornstalk. a Shawnee leader of the Allied Indigenous people, Chief Cornstalk and his men fought in the Battle of Point Pleasant against colonial troops in 1774. Local legend of Point Pleasant said that with his dying breath, Cornstalk cursed the town for 200 years. Some people even speculated that the Mothman was sent by Cornstalk himself from beyond the grave. But in 2006, it was revealed that the rumored curse of Cornstalk was nothing more than a myth. A rediscovered historical
I would have believed it. You know, them Indians, man, they set a lot of curses on lands. You better be careful on certain lands what you do.
Play was found in an old grade school in Point Pleasant that includes Cornstalk's curse. Most likely, the playwright added it in to give the performance a little more drama. And the energies of its people paralyzed by the stain of our blood. So saying, he fell dead by the side of his son. There's the curse. Maybe the Mothman sightings can be explained by something from the natural world. It was proposed early on that the Mothman was actually a sandhill crane, when a West Virginia University professor told the press in an article published December 1st, 1966.
A sandhill crane? Ain't that a bird? No. No. No.
Quote, I definitely believe that's what these people are seeing. This is the sandhill crane. Dr. Robert Smith of the West Virginia University Biology Department said the description fits that of a sandhill crane. Sandhill cranes have an average wingspan of around 6.5 feet and are about 3 to 4 feet tall. They also happen to have red patches around their eyes. But Dr. Z, you may be wondering, do sandhill cranes ever make it to West Virginia? The answer is yes. Because I am a crazy bird person and this Mothman thing was driving me insane, I contacted the Cornell Lab of Ornithology for sandhill crane data from the 1960s. While they couldn't give me anything from that time period, I did find that sightings of sandhill cranes happen today. At least 28 of them have been spotted in West Virginia between January 2017 and August 2019, sometimes in large groups. Brenda Knight, the sister-in-law of one of the November 15 witnesses, said, quote, we all thought it was a mutant sandhill crane because of the toxins in the swamp. Maybe Brenda was onto something. She wasn't the only one to think that illegally pumped chemicals had...
Because that one lady said it jumped up on her hood and was also beside her. Her brother said, don't look over there. She would have known if that was a sandhill crane.
Caused animal mutations. The munitions plant that gave the TNT area its name was built during World War II to produce and store explosives from 1942 to 1945. After the war, much of the land was given to the Department of Natural Resources. It became a wildlife reserve in 1966 and is now called the McClintock Wildlife Management Area. The mutation theory might have a little more validity to it than some of the other explanations. In 1981, a redwater seep was discovered in the area, which led to the realization that contamination had occurred. The red water is a result of a cold water and cellite mixture used to rinse the TNT. According to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the red water was discharged directly to the Ohio River through a pipe located about 1 foot offshore. After becoming part of the national priority list in 1983, cleanup became the focus and groundwater extraction completed in 1997. So how could you explain Mothman's infamous glowing red eyes? Another type of bird was quickly thrown out as a possible explanation to the humanoid flying creature, one known for its silent nocturnal flights. Owls. It's always owls. Birds' eyes appear red when a bright light is shined at them because of the vascular membrane that shows through the pigment layer of the retina, an effect referred to as eye shine. One owl is known for its very dramatic eye shine. The barred owl is a large species with a rounded head common throughout the southeast that prefers to roost in old trees and open forests. Extra blood vessels around their eyes make them glow more red than other species. Officials at the McClintock Wildlife Management Area told the Audubon Society, who also looked at owls as an explanation for Mothman, that the area has a healthy population of this species. Some people in Point Pleasant argue that Mothman was really just a lost weather balloon or even an elaborate hoax. A local rumor exists alongside Mothman himself, one about a local teenage prankster who found it fun to jump out at cars driving at night in the TNT area while wearing a Halloween costume. Hoaxes like these could have happened on more than one occasion, but that doesn't really explain the Mothman phenomenon.
The
Probably
Mothman
wondering how we
flying.
got this
That's what it doesn't explain.
far without mentioning the Mothman prophecies. Written by John Keel, the book and its 2002 film adaptation are the most important texts for how the legend took root outside of Point Pleasant. Keel was a journalist and paranormal investigator who went to Point Pleasant in December 1966 to explore the Mothman and other supernatural sightings in the area. He interviewed a lot of the original witnesses and even claimed to have experience with what he calls ultra-terrestrials. I read the whole thing and it's a doozy. Honestly, the book seems more concerned about UFOs and Men in Black than Mothman. Regardless of how factual the Mothman prophecies is, or not, the 1975 book and the movies did have one indisputable result. They made Mothman globally recognized and turned the town of Point Pleasant into a tourist destination.
Although there kept on being sightings, the newspaper kept writing about it, but it was mostly tongue-in-cheek. It was all that. But frankly, still is today for most. One time someone said, we'd like to talk to some people that don't believe in the Mothman. I said, pick anyone on Main Street.
1 year after the movie came out, they erected a statue of him on Main Street in 2003.
We're dedicating the statue, and we're all kind of, the mayor and everyone's kind of like, geez, see that? The mayor has to speak at the dedication. I go over to see what's going on. I have to stand back. I said, you probably ought to put a suit and tie on. I said, what's going on? I said, CBS is here. TBS Sunday morning. Bill Geist is out there. That's Willie Geist's father, and that's how it started. When Bill Geist showed up, I became a Mothman believer that day, and I haven't slowed down since.
In 2005, a whole Mothman museum opened up. Created by Jeff Walmsley, Point Pleasant resident and local Mothman expert, it sees thousands of visitors a year.
A lot of the movie props that we have here in the museum are donated.
Alright. What's y'all's thoughts and opinions on the Mothman? Do y'all believe it's just a hoax? A fairy? Some made-up mythical creature? Or do you believe some of these people's accounts on their experiences? Do you believe some of these people have seen the Mothman? Put your comments in the box below, man. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Hit the like button, and I'm out.